This whole section is empty. That's Heineken section gone. Heineken gone. Corona gone. Corona Light gone. Look at that. Huge empty sections of beer. Okay. Yingling, Budweiser. And that's completely full. But someone did buy up the bottles.
But as a bartender, it's really hard for me not to. At what point would it ever be smart to mix alcohol and politics? It's just the cardinal rule. You don't do it. But now we have to. Another thing, a bartender in a rural community that serves mostly blue-collar men that typically aren't going to be a fan of this. This puts the subject out there. This makes us hand this to them and then what, duck for a lot of it? I don't think you guys get it. This is going to cause a lot of problems. And I don't care how people live their life, go do it. I really don't. I just don't understand why it has to be everywhere. I mean, this is not smart.
You know, I've been drinking Bud Light for at least 35 years, religiously. Actually, first 15 of it was Budweiser. Got a little older, got tired of the headaches, so I moved on to Bud Light. And I just seen everybody's videos and just bought that shit yesterday. I ain't throwing away my hard-earned money.
Alright guys, so we gotta talk about Bud Light once again, okay? Because this is gonna be an ongoing story that I'm gonna follow, mainly because I wanna see how much this boycott actually affects Bud Light, okay? If there is a boycott to be had, it is this one right here in response to Bud Light going super woke and endorsing the far left gender agenda by giving Dylan Mulvaney a sponsorship, okay? They passed out cans of Bud Light to Dylan Mulvaney, one with his face on it, to celebrate his 365 days of girlhood. And for whatever reason, the people at Bud Light, the people that's running the marketing team at Bud Light, thought that this was a good idea because maybe, just maybe, this would help them reach young folks.
I'm a businesswoman. I had a really clear job to do when I took over Bud Light. And it was, this brand is in decline. It's been in decline for a really long time. And if we do not attract young drinkers to come and drink this brand, there will be no future for Bud Light. So I had this super clear mandate. It's like we need to evolve and elevate this incredibly iconic brand. And what I brought to that was a belief in, okay, what does evolve and elevate mean? It means inclusivity. It means shifting the tone. It means having a campaign that's truly inclusive and feels lighter and brighter and different and appeals to women and to men. And representation is at sort of the heart of evolution. You've got to see people who reflect you in the work. And we had this hangover. I mean, Bud Light had been kind of a brand of fratty, kind of out of touch humor. And it was really important that we had another approach.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. That is the VP of marketing at Bud Light basically telling everybody that, hey, our old brand was whack, okay? It was out of touch, right? It didn't appeal to the people that we want to appeal to now, which is young folks. So therefore, we need to sponsor a controversial transgender TikToker in order to reach young people. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong. Dylan Mulvaney does have a large reach of young people on TikTok, which really is a damn shame that many young people are being influenced by somebody like that. But, you know, I don't think that you need to be exclusive or to exclude your core audience in order to be inclusive, okay? I'm pretty sure there are a ton of young people out there that can help you reach other young people without giving a full-throated endorsement to the far-left woke agenda, which is what they're doing when you sponsor somebody like Dylan Mulvaney, okay? I don't know why these brands think that the only way to reach young people is to be pro-LGBTQ, which again, you know, in my opinion, I don't care if these companies donate to whatever causes, right? But when you're seeing this type of marketing everywhere, when they're throwing politics in your face all the time, that's super annoying, okay? But I do get why companies are going woke, okay? To understand, guys, it's about the bottom line, right? That's what it's about, okay? It's about the fact that the largest transfer in wealth in history is basically happening right now as the baby boomer generation starts to get older, okay? They retire. They're passing their assets to the younger generation. And these brands know that, okay? When I worked in the financial services industry, that's something that we knew. This is why, or part of the reason why you have these ESG funds, okay? Because investment companies want to appeal to young people who are going to be inheriting their assets from the parents, right? And young people care about the environment. They care about sustainable investing and stuff like that. So a lot of these companies are creating these funds that are socially responsible as a way to attract capital from young people who inherit assets from their parents and they don't know what to do with those assets, okay? They want to invest in ways in which they feel like they're making a difference, okay? I mean, that is, again, what I heard, the spiel, right, that I heard when I worked in corporate America, okay? And this applies to all of these companies, right? They want to reach young people. And they think that the way to do that is to be overtly political, is to endorse far-left politics. That's why they're doing it, right? But in Bud Light's case, this is backfiring, okay, as there are reports that people just aren't buying Bud Light the way that they used to, okay, at least as of this weekend, okay, which I believe is the first major weekend following this controversy. Yeah, I think Bud Light is definitely suffering the consequences of this endorsement of Dylan Mulvaney, as we have country music star John Rich, who is pulling Bud Light from his Nashville bar amid brand's partnership with trans activist Dylan Mulvaney. Yeah, so country music star John Rich is pulling Bud Light from his bar because people just aren't ordering Bud Light the way that they were before all this. Take a look.
People who drink Bud Light are not impressed, is the truth. John Rich is one of them. He is, of course, a famous singer-songwriter, a country star. He joins us tonight with his thoughts on Bud Light going trans. Jonathan, I appreciate your coming on tonight. What do you make of this?
Well, you know, there's a lot of smart, really high-paid people, Tucker, that sit around big conference tables at all the major brands, and they spend millions and millions and millions of dollars to market their product to do what? To sell more of it, whether it's beer or country music or a pickup truck or pretty much anything you can think of. And it's their right to market it however they want. They're making a bet that this is going to sell more product. And so, you know, I'm also in this world. You know, I sell music. Redneck Riviera is a brand of mine that's nationwide. I keep it real simple. I go God, family, and country. If you love God, family, and country, you'll probably love Redneck Riviera, and it probably won't disappoint you. And what's happening, Tucker, is people that have been loyal to brands for decades and decades are finding it hard to stay loyal to them. And so they start hunting down other brands that they can go support. And there's tons of up-and-coming American brands out there that people are flooding to right now, kind of like mine.
So you really got to hope, and it's not even owned by the Bush family anymore, but that Bud Light fails over this. I mean, I don't want to be mean. I don't want to root for bankruptcy, but in this case, I think we have to hope for that.
I think the customers decide. Customers are king. So I own a bar downtown in Nashville called Redneck Riviera, and our number one selling beer up until a few days ago was, guess what? Bud Light. That was the number one beer. We got cases and cases and cases of it sitting back there. But in the past several days, you're hard-pressed to find anybody ordering one. So as the business owner, I just go, hey, if you guys aren't going to order it, we got to put something else in here. And at the end of the day, that's capitalism, right, Tucker? That's how it works.
That's right. And they make great targets. You hit a Bud Light at 50 yards with a .223 and it just explodes. So I recommend that strongly.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Country music star John Rich pulling Bud Light from his local bar in Nashville because sales are declining. People aren't buying Bud Light. This is also the same report that we're hearing from local distributors as well, too, particularly in rural areas that, hey, Bud Light just ain't selling the way it used to be. In fact, some people are calling it a bloodbath. Take a look.
But yeah, the controversy extended through the holiday weekend, which is a problem for AB. And the distributors that have experienced the most backlash are the ones in more rural areas. And those distributors also tend to be smaller and more reliant on the Anheuser-Busch brands to pay their bills. And so, yeah, there is some concern about it. It could be a tempest in a teapot. It could be temporary, but it's enough that distributors have rung the bell and, cause for a little bit of concern in the short term. This is probably the biggest controversy we've seen in a long time. There's always a real danger in keeping the marketing toward your current core consumer who may be aging out. And the fact of the matter is that you have to have Gen Z consideration for a beer brand as big as Bud Light to be successful. And it just doesn't work. So yeah, you do have to pivot to the values of a younger generation, and those values don't always align, as we're seeing here, with older folks. But it is a necessity. I'm not sure if this particular promotion was the best one, but it does point toward big brands knowing that they have to shift their thinking and their messaging around what people under 25 and over 21 think. A group that is very happy about it is obviously Anheuser-Busch's competitors. So the Miller and Coors and distributors are doing great. But I'm sure that in metro areas, this has not affected Bud Light to a discernible degree, and maybe even helped it. We just don't know because the data won't come in for another couple of weeks. History tells us that these boycotts tend to be short-termed. I would say probably the difference here is that it's Bud Light, and there's an expectation around the brand equities and what you think of as Bud Light, and that's contrary to what you would think of in Bud Light, and there's always a danger when you tread down that path. But you still have to evolve your brand, and so that I think we're just seeing the pain points, and when you attempt to do that.
Yeah, so you've seen that, you heard that. Okay, that is from a beer expert, right? He's saying that local distributors are sounding the alarm. They're saying, look, we're definitely not seeing the same sales that we used to see. There's a problem here with Bud Light, right? So with that being said, I want to read a little bit more in regards to some anecdotal evidence that Bud Light is definitely suffering here from their endorsement of Dylan Mulvaney. Bud Light suffered a bloodbath this past weekend. Consumers nationwide revolted against the nation's top-selling beer brand after it stepped recklessly into the culture wars last week with its new spokesperson, transgender superstar Dylan Mulvaney, according to bar owners and beer industry experts around the country. Quote, I think society flexes its muscles sometimes and reminds manufacturers that the consumer is still in charge. Jeff Fitter, owner of Case and Bucks, a restaurant and sports bar in Barnhart, Missouri, told Fox Business. Quote, in Bud Light's effort to be inclusive, they excluded almost everybody else, including their traditional audience. He cited sports fans, working people, and women as loyal Bud Light consumers, the brand suddenly excluded in its race to go woke. Bud Light maker Anheuser-Busch is headquartered in nearby St. Louis, but even Fitter's bar witnessed a catastrophic decrease in sales of the hometown suds among loyal and local consumers this week. Sales of Anheuser-Busch bottled products dropped 30% over the past weekend, while drought beer plummeted 50%, the owner said. Wow. Again, those are some serious drop in sale numbers, right? Again, this is anecdotal, but at the same time, again, if this is big enough, if enough places are experiencing this, again, this is backfiring heavily on Bud Light. Similar stories are found around the country. Bud Light normally outsells rival products Miller Lite and Coors Light's 25-1 at Brain Tree Brewhouse in Massachusetts, a sprawling sports bar just outside Boston. Not this week. 80% of Bud Light drinkers ordered something else this week. Brewhouse owner Alex Casares said, while the 20% who did order Bud Light weren't on social media and haven't heard yet about its new transgender pitch person. Quote, they didn't order it again, he said, after other patrons told them about the Bud Light marketing misfire. One pub in Hell's Kitchen, a New York City neighborhood known for its large and vocal gay community, reported that Bud Light's draft sales dropped 58% this week, while Bud Light bottle sales were down 70%. Wow. Again, Bud Light is getting destroyed. Okay, again, this trend is happening all around the country. Wow. Bud Light's decision to dive into the culture wars was a bad decision that defied virtually every rule in building brands and marketing, a national beer industry analyst told Fox Business. Well, I mean, you can blame the woman running that, right? You can blame the woman running the marketing department. He cited a nightmare scenario for Bud Light sales in Texas, where the brand has for years sponsored a large weekly dark league with 100+ players each Thursday night. The bar only sold 4 12-ounce Bud Light bottles this week. Wow. The bar typically sells through 3 kegs of Bud Light at the event, a total of 495 12-ounce pours. Wow. So it went from 495 to just 4. Damn, that's a problem. That's a big problem. Okay. It looks like these dark players basically held a protest against their league sponsor, right? So this is backfiring heavily. Okay. This is backfiring heavily. Quote, they've already done enough damage in 1 week to disrupt year-long sales projections, a beer sales representative who works with national beer retailers such as Costco told Fox Business. Quote, you don't just make up those sales. People are going to drink twice as much Bud Light following the weekend to recover the lost business. Wow. For a brand as large as Bud Light, the public relations calamity already represents millions of lost dollars, even if the customer revolt ended tomorrow. Yeah. Which, I mean, look, I don't think it is going to. I think this is going to continue, right? And, it's funny because the reason behind this is that Bud Light is saying, look, well, our sales have been declining, right? So therefore, we need to recruit people like Dylan Mulvaney to help increase sales. Now, again, I'm not sure if Dylan Mulvaney's audience is going to drink a lot of Bud Light. I think they drink more hippie beers, right? Not that they don't drink beers, but I'm not sure Bud Light is their go-to choice. Again, I think they drink more hippie stuff. And I think that effort to recover the desperation led them to basically alienating their core audience. And again, let this be a lesson to some of these other companies that you don't have to alienate your core audience. You don't have to dive into politics in order to reach a new audience, right? You can reach new audiences without being so divisive and without promoting things that are contrary to traditional values in this country. So, it looks like this is another case of go woke, go broke, right? Featuring Bud Light. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.